The physical and mental stresses of war can take a huge toll on service members and their families, but there is healing power in nature and a bond amongst veterans that comes alive in the great outdoors. We joined the Sierra Club's Stacy Bear on an adventure down the Colorado River, where veterans deepen their connection to the land and one another.
We can start loading.
Everybody's getting their last drips of civilization in before we head to the river.
I'm Stacy Bear. I'm the Sierra Club's military, family, and veterans representative. So I came home in 2007 from Iraq. I had a huge cocaine habit. I struggled with suicidal ideation and a lot of depression. And I kept calling one of my buddies, and he said, "You got to do something about it." And I was like, "Well, what do you want me to do?" So he's like, "Well, come rock climbing with me." And when I came off that climb, I felt so good. And I thought, man, this is something that every veteran, every service member needs to have an opportunity to get outside and push themselves again. The Sierra Club in 2006 started the Military Family Outdoor Program. And the idea behind that program is you fought for the country, now get out and enjoy the country that you fought for.
My name's Mark Latinsky from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm a Marine infantryman and I served in Afghanistan. I was injured November 19th of 2010 on a foot patrol in Sangin, Afghanistan. I stepped on a pressure plate IED. I think it'll be probably the most physically demanding activity that I've done since being injured.
He does a lot on his own. I'm Heather Latinsky, I'm an RN, and I'm married to Mark Latinsky.
If you look at the drawings,
I get so much pleasure and joy out of seeing him get back to life.
And Mark and his wife are from Minnesota. They've been married for 3.5 years now. And talking to him, there's not an ounce of anger.
grab a chair real quick.
My name's Carrie Conway. I'm a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force. I was served in Afghanistan and Cuba. In Cuba, I broke my lower back. The plane crash, I broke my neck. But I also damaged my brain a couple of times. The wheelchair came after I started having seizures pretty much every minute of the day.
Carrie is an amazing story. Carrie is a pilot from New Hampshire. And she's just battled through all this stuff, and her goal is to be an Olympic swimmer. And after you hear her tell her story, it's kind of like being an Olympic swimmer seems like a goal almost not worthy enough for her because she's already done so much.
Okay, all the warriors, let's have you over here.
Everybody ready? On 3, say go Army. 1, 2, 3, go Army.
Yeah. I was gonna say, boy, those are fighting words.
Adios.
Everything's pretty big out here. It makes me feel like I'm reconnecting to life, I guess.
Out here in the desert, you don't have any clouds to look at, so we spend all our time staring at the rocks.
Sweet spire right there.
We thought we were going to be paddling, my goodness.
A year ago last spring, I was listening to National Public Radio, and they were interviewing a young Marine, Mark Latinsky. I'm Fred Solheim. I'm from Boulder, Colorado. I started this effort a year ago, and here he was in an interview, upbeat, forward-looking. So I thought I'd like to take him on a raft trip, and I think if we had him on a raft trip, he is an inspiration, and I thought we'd get a lot out of it, more than he would.
If I can just get a little bit about every person.
Mark Latinsky from Minneapolis.
The Sierra Club is now sponsoring 12 wounded warriors down here, along with 3 therapists to assess the benefits. We have Marines, we have an Air Force lieutenant, we have Army, and we have 3 Brits, actually. They're the equivalent of Marines in Great Britain.
I'm Krabby. I'm from the South England.
It's not the river trip. It's what comes out of it. These guys get to know each other, and last year they got hooked up on Facebook and email.
Hey, you guys want to get on this fire line?
And I ended up getting 4 MRIs from...
They can share their anxieties, their successes. They can talk on levels that they couldn't have ever talked to a therapist. Very healing.
Lacking that, how about breakfast? What do you want?
Come and get it! Breakfast! We will hit rapids today.
Yes, that's good.
I am ready.
Rocking.
Explore, enjoy, and protect the planet. I am protected. In the military, you know, the camaraderie comes from working together to achieve a common goal, and you've got to trust in one another to get the job done. And it's the same thing outside. You've got to work together, trust each other, trust the boat captain, trust your equipment. So everybody has their role to play. Everybody has to pick up a little bit of the slack.
The river didn't want to take us.
One more wind in the back!
But with some heaving and hoeing, we all got it. But it was scary.
Oh, that's a 10. That's awesome.
We had a number of different issues. Boats getting stuck on a rock. We lost an engine, and it actually, I think, allowed the group to really bond together. You never come away from a river trip or a climbing trip unchanged. The river always teaches you something.
Swimming in the Colorado River, floating down that, I ended up staring at this for most of today. I mean, it's just simple stuff that when you're pretty sure you're gonna die, this ends up being pretty awesome.
This is just so overwhelming. Everything's just so much bigger. And time on the river, just to spend time with you crazy Americans, is pretty cool too, like.
It's just nice to get away from the big city and come down here and see the red rock skyscrapers. I think that keeping areas like this, it's absolutely necessary.
There are people on this trip who are certainly in the red state side, and there are people who are on the blue state side. But the river is a really unifying factor. Why do they want to protect this place? Because they use it, because it's a beautiful place. I think we need to be broader about the way we think about conservation. And on the one hand, bringing our service members and veterans out here is helping to conserve our veterans. It's helping to conserve this national resource. We have 18 veterans a day committing suicide right now, according to some statistics, maybe even more. What are we doing to conserve that national resource? What are we doing to conserve these beautiful ecosystems and where all of our water comes from for the Southwest? And so combining those two, I think, is how we can move things forward.
I think maybe he's trying to dig his way out of this whole experience.
Moving that forward, in a couple of years, you're going to see Carrie bringing other people outside.
The experience overall kind of solidified my goals of getting into competitive swimming and getting into the Olympics. I've actually been through a whole hell of a lot, and my life isn't over yet. And it's not over, period. I still have a lot to do.
The plan is
A river raft guy.
yeah. I'll go back to college, hopefully get a degree in forestry or wildlife management.
You're going to see Mark as a game and fish warden in Minnesota. Guys like Mark, he's making it out here. He doesn't have any excuses. So what are our excuses?